Well, after a very dry start to the month of July, the remnants of Beryl brought some tropical moisture to our area and also some heavy and inundating rainfall. And in this week's edition of the Climate Friday newsletter, we're going to break down where we stand on rain for not only the month, but also the summertime in the year and how that may potentially have some impacts, including both the drought monitor and effects on the harmful algal bloom. Meteorologist John Burchfield here. You can subscribe to that Climate Friday newsletter at WTOL.com/email and also on YouTube, WTOL 11+, and all of our streaming platforms. So we're going to recap Beryl, the impacts that it had locally as well as nationally, and what you can expect going forward as we head towards the middle of the month of July. Quite the voyage. All that tropical moisture traveled over 5,000 miles, making landfall 3 times. First of all, it impacted the Caribbean, including Jamaica, which saw storm surges, hurricane-force winds, and heavy flooding rainfall. The Yucatan Peninsula was next, with that landfall occurring, and then into the start of the week, a landfall in Texas caused some significant storm surge. But Beryl wasn't done just yet. After that, just as forecast, it turned to the northeast and it impacted the Midwest and New England, producing not only heavy rain, but also severe weather. That initial voyage towards the Texas coast was approximately 3,700 miles, and subsequently Beryl turned to the northeast, with that area of low pressure traveling nearly 1,500 miles. And even Canada saw some of the impacts in terms of heavy rain and severe weather. Quite the severe weather outbreak, not only on the Gulf Coast, but also across the Ohio River Valley, and then again in New England. Several rounds of severe weather over the course of the week. And right now, I only have highlighted the funnel cloud and tornado reports. This doesn't even include the strong wind and the flooding rain that occurred. First and foremost, after landfall, there was the southeastern severe weather outbreak, a number of tornado reports towards Arkansas and Louisiana. After that, Beryl ramped up again and produced a number of severe weather reports in the southwestern portions of the Ohio River Valley and the Mississippi River Valley from St. Louis towards Cincinnati. Toledo in northwest Ohio avoided that severe weather. However, even after that on Wednesday, an unusual severe weather outbreak in upstate New York and New England. There were reports of tornadoes and funnel clouds from Syracuse, New York towards Binghamton and into central Pennsylvania, and even over towards Lake Erie on the eastern side of things near Buffalo. There were water spouts and tornadoes that occurred as a result of Beryl. So here locally, we didn't see the severe weather, but we saw heavy soaking rainfall, 2¼ inches of rain at Toledo Express Airport, and that accounts for nearly all of our July rainfall. Before Beryl arrived, we only had 2/100ths of an inch of rainfall, and now that number is a bit higher with 2.25 recorded this week. Over the course of the summer, rainfall is now over 8 inches, and that is substantially above average. Area farmers know very well just how wet this summer has been so far. We're 3.61 inches above average. Normally at this point in July, we are only at 4.61 inches of rainfall. So a sizable uptick in rain, and a lot of that has to do with not only the wet June, but also the wet weather associated with Beryl. Now, the drought monitor has been alleviated for sure with wet weather across northwest Ohio. There is some prevailing drought in eastern Ohio, indicated by that moderate drought condition down towards Columbus and Cincy. There is also an ongoing drought, and even Dayton does have minor drought conditions. Needless to say, we are all set on rainfall. In fact, many areas received a little bit more than the ground could handle. The heaviest rain from Beryl, though, came to the west of the metro, stretching from Flint and Detroit back towards South Bend. There was a swath of 3 to 6 inches where more substantial flooding and even flash flooding occurred. We did see some heavy and soaking rainfall, including some heavier thunderstorm cells spanning from Lima up the I-75 corridor towards Findlay and over towards Lake Erie. And a lot of that rain did impact the Maumee River Basin. We're keeping a very close eye on the effects of that rainfall on our lake, because sometimes heavy rain can increase nutrient runoff in Lake Erie. Rainfall totals just to the east of the river in portions of Ottawa County close to 3 inches, near Perrysburg 2.5 inches, and much of Lucas County from Sylvania down towards Holland saw over 2 inches of rainfall. Now, with that heavy rain, area farm fields can leach some of the phosphorus and nitrogen, other nutrients that flow into the Maumee River and thus Lake Erie, and those nutrients feed blue-green algae that proliferate on the lake this time of year. Typically, the peak algal bloom is in August and September, and that coincides with the warmest Lake Erie water temperatures, and it also lines up with when we can get some of that heavy rainfall. The algal bloom ends in October once the lake starts to cool off, but we are still about 1 to 2 months away from the peak of the harmful algal bloom, and we'll keep a very close eye on the effects of our recent rainfall rainfall on how the algae may proliferate. Every Thursday, live on air on WTOL 11 News at 5:30 p.m. We have an update on our water and on Lake Erie, and you can also see the latest on WTOL 11 Plus and on YouTube as well. Now, despite the recent rainfall, the long-range outlook does feature drier conditions and also cooler and less humid weather. Across the Great Lakes region, we are expecting a shift in the weather pattern that'll turn things towards a cooler and less humid setting. Now, in addition to the rain, the algae really proliferate and thrive on hot summertime weather and sunny summer weather, so perhaps this drop in temperatures will neutralize the effects of recent rainfall. Regardless, the WTOL 11 weather team will keep you updated. If you're not already subscribed, WTOL.com/email, and you can see the latest on all of our streaming platforms and on social media with the latest Climate Friday newsletter coming at you every week.